Mr. Chair, and thank you, Attorney General. Appreciate your being here. Obviously, people are rather sensitive to potential terrorism, especially since ISIS is known for keeping their word when they make threats, at least as often as they can. And we had a witness some time back, the FBI director at that time, Director Mueller, and I was asking him about investigations at the mosque in Boston. Islamists feel better about training materials. You'd want them to see what they were removed. And I'm just curious, why are the subject matter experts that the FBI had go through all their training material and purge anything that might be offensive to an Islamist, why was that needed to be classified? I would think they'd be heroes in the Islamic world for getting that stuff out. Why was that classified?
Well, we went through a thorough review. I think you've been fully briefed on it. In those materials are cases.
I need you to. I have such a short time. I need you to answer questions. And my question is, why were the subject matter experts' identity classified?
Because the process in whole had within its parameters all information that we have in the Bureau. And if I'm not mistaken, we gave you the names of the individuals.
In a classified setting, and so I'd get prosecuted if I revealed them. And I don't know why you can't make those public so that people would know. But obviously, you feel...
I will look at that.
Well, and also I want to go back to Boston. You said things like, and I jotted these down, what you said, the FBI did an excellent job, did a thorough job, don't know what else we could have done. And according to the Russians, there's a great deal more that could have been done. And when we find out about this this Sensitive Operations Review Committee, and as this article points out, if it's true, it says that we don't know who the chairman and members are of this Sensitive Operations Review Committee, who the staff, that's kept secret. The FBI never canvassed Boston mosques until 4 days after the April 15th attacks. If the Russians tell you that someone has been radicalized and you go check and see the mosques that they went to, then you get the articles of incorporation, as I have, for the group that created the Boston mosque where these Tsarnaevs attended, and you find out the name Al-Amoudi, which you'll remember because while you were FBI director, this man who was so helpful to the Clinton administration with so many big things, he gets arrested at Dulles Airport by the FBI, and he's now doing over 20 years for supporting terrorism. This is the guy that started the mosque where your Tsarnaevs were attending, and you didn't even bother to go check about the mosque. And then when you had the pictures, why did no one go to the mosque and say, who are these guys? They may attend here. Why was that not done since such a thorough job was done?
Your facts are not altogether well.
All right, point out specifically.
May I finish my
point out specifically. Sir, if you're going to call me a liar, you need to point out specifically where any facts are wrong.
We went to the mosque. Prior to Boston.
Prior to Boston.
Prior to Boston happening, we were in that mosque talking to imams several months beforehand as part of our outreach efforts.
Were you aware that those mosques were started by Al-Amoudi?
I've answered the question, sir.
You didn't answer the question. Were you aware they were started by Al-Amoudi? You were not. Okay. Thank you. Where the Tsarnaevs attended, and he indicated that the FBI had an outreach program with that mosque where they would commune together, but they never actually investigated at the mosque whether or not the Tsarnaevs had been radicalized. Even after Russia gave the FBI a heads up that the older Tsarnaev had been radicalized, they never asked any questions of the people there. And it's I know I've been through materials with FBI agents that have been cleaned out from the teaching materials at the Justice Department, and for some ridiculous reason they were classified, so we had to do it in a closed setting. But it appears to me that FBI agents, justice officials, are not even being allowed to be taught what it is that radical Islamists believe. Not even perhaps that Osama bin Laden indicated that the Egyptian martyr Muslim Brotherhood member Qutb wrote milestones that actually helped radicalize him. Nobody knew enough to go to the mosque and ask, has Sarnia been reading Qutb? Have you seen him talking about or heard him talking about milestones? It seems like we blinded, as one intelligence official told me, we blinded ourselves of the ability to see our enemy. So I was also surprised, since Director Mueller was FBI director after Al-Moody was arrested based on his understanding information that Britain gave us, but he's doing 23 years for supporting terrorism. He didn't know Al-Moody is the one who was at the bottom of starting that mosque. We know that apparently Al-Moody helped in both the Clinton and Bush White House find Muslims that Al-Moody said could be trusted to work in those White Houses. And I'm just wondering, since we now know that Al-Moody supported terrorism, we know that at least the Sarnias, perhaps others who've been radicalized, worshipped at that mosque. Has the outreach program been terminated with the Al-Moody begun mosque in Boston? And has there been any investigation into people that Al-Moody placed in the Clinton and Bush White House? Now that we know he supported terrorism, he's doing 23 years. Do you know of any such investigation?
Mr. Congressman, I don't have the information that you're requesting, but certainly what I can say is that you have touched upon the issue that all of us in law enforcement deal with as we work not only to protect the American people, but to counter violent extremism that does pull in young people like this.
Well, and I appreciate your calling it violent extremism. Did you have a degree in Islamic studies?
I'm sorry, sir.
I really don't know. Did you have any degrees in Islamic studies?
No, sir.
Well, there's a guy named al-Baghdadi who happens to be head of ISIS, who has a bachelor's, a master's, and a PhD in Islamic studies from the University of Baghdad. He perhaps is a better expert than you and I, and he says ISIS is Islamic. And so I think we should take the word of an expert. It certainly doesn't represent the views of all Muslims, thank God. But I would encourage you to take another look at the Justice Department training materials, take another look at your outreach program, and look back and investigate who Al-Moody placed in those White Houses to see if they're still around. The FBI completely dropped the ball on Sarnia, and it concerns Americans. They may be dropping the ball on the Syrians as we speak. My time's expired. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. How about this? Are you under any kind of directive by the administration not to say Islamic Jihad or radical Islam? Is that a memo that has come out?
I've seen no memo on vocabulary, Congressman.
Can you say that or describe then the enemies we have that are killing Western civilization in that fashion? Are they Islamic Jihad? Are they Islamic radicals?
I call them murderers, sir.
But you can't say Islam in conjunction with that.
I'm
So
sorry.
how do we understand them if you can't say that? I mean, I won't read to you then. You can't say it, can you? You can't say it any more than Hillary Clinton can say the word Islamic Jihad, radical Islamic Jihad. If we can't understand our enemy, if we don't know who they are, if we don't know what motivates them, do you know what the term hijrah means?
I'm sorry.
Hijrah, H-I-J-R-A-H, an Islamic term for peaceful migration to invade other countries and start your civilization there and don't assimilate into the broader culture of civilization. And that's being preached in mosques around the Middle East, and they're rising up and moving into Europe and moving into into the United States, and they're resisting the idea that they could ever assimilate into the American culture or civilization.